Hey, it's good to see you all. I wish I could see you in person. This is my brief introduction to effective speaking, and I'm going to talk about introducing yourself. I'm going to do that by telling you about myself, which you won't have to go into such great lengths as I do, because your introduction to me will be 2 to 3 minutes, alright? And you'll do that over WhatsApp and send me the video so that I can watch it in an easy format over my phone. Alright, my name is Warren. I come from a huge family. I come from a family of 9 siblings, so 10 of us all together plus my parents. I come from a background of Mormonism. I left that back when I was in my 20s while I was working on my doctoral degree. I started teaching college when I was 23 years old, and most of my degrees are in Spanish literature. Most. 3 of them are, and 1 is in English literature. Now, I have to be honest with you, I never took a public speaking course. On the other hand, I was speaking in public from the time I was 3 or 4 years old, and then from then on, all the time that I went through high school. So, it's not new to me, and I understand that a lot of you probably have anxiety about speaking in public. I've read surveys that say that people would rather go see the dentist than speaking in front of a group. Well, not this man right here. And I can help you get over those fears and anxieties. So, going back to myself, because that's what we want to talk about, that, right? Since I am introducing yourself, I should have said myself up here. All right. I was a little shit when I was a kid. I hated school all the way through it until I got to college where I could do what I wanted to, and then I was able to schedule myself. So I used to spend 2 days a week in college from 7:30 in the morning until 10 at night, and then the rest of the week I could work and I could study. And that's what I did because I didn't have anybody paying my way through school. And in my culture, you couldn't actually accept help from the government. So that's how I did it, as I worked about 30 hours a week, which now they say is a no-no. But I enjoyed it. And then I went to school for, what would that be, 14, 15 hours, 2 days a week. Anyway, so I want to show you my beautiful family, because even though I come from a family that's huge, and I don't even know how many nieces and nephews I have now. I stopped counting about 20 years ago when it hit more than 50. So I think it's probably about 100. Here are the children that I've raised or helped raise along with me. Take a really good look at this, because this is the only time you will ever, and I mean ever, see me in a suit. I only bought it because my daughter, who is on the right side of me in the white dress, said, "Dad, you've got to get a suit." Look at the dress I'm going to wear for my wedding. Now, unfortunately, my daughter-in-law, Sarah's wife, is not in this picture, but all of the children that I've raised or helped to raise are in this picture. So over here is Taylor, Whitney, Shiloh, Sarah, Mariah, and Ashley. Now, I'll let you figure out which ones are my biological children. It's probably pretty easy to do, but I'm very proud of all of them. Shiloh and Ashley are now 32 years old, and fancy that, I am 55. I'm going to be 56 pretty soon. Well, in January, that is. So at the end of this semester. Okay, so I grew up working because I was in such a big family. It was a traditional one. My dad was the one who worked, meant bringing home the money, and then my mom was the one who took care of the household. These are paradigms that I totally have and flat outly have rejected in my life. I remember when I was 21 years old, I told my mother, I do not want to be the head of a family. I want to find someone who is my equal. And so I did, and I found my wife Sherry, who did not need me to take care of her, and who gave me 3 beautiful biological children. Later on, I was lucky enough that as she was dying from cancer, we took in Ashley. Ashley is right here. And later on, then I got married another time and raised 2 more children. I am divorced, just in case you or your parents want to know that. So I'm a widower and a divorcee. All right. I'm never getting married again, man. All right, so I grew up working. I learned how to cut lawns when I was about 8 years old, and I would push the mower. Sometimes often with an electric mower, sometimes not. Sometimes it was just push. And I helped my brothers deliver papers on a paper route. And then when I was 12, and finally I was a responsible person, I was able to get my own paper route with my best friend, Bobby Savage. Now, Bobby Savage and I had this paper route, and we would go out every afternoon and deliver the papers. And then he soon outgrew that, but not before we added another route to it. So until I was 15, I did the 2 routes by myself, except for on Sunday mornings I needed to have a ride. And so about 4 in the morning, my brother would get up and take me to deliver those papers, because I'd helped him when he was younger and had a paper route. After that, I continued to cut lawns, but when I turned 15, I continued to cut lawns, but I was able to get employed at a grocery store, and so I worked about 20 hours a week at the grocery store, 20 to 30, it depended on if it was summer or not, until from the time I was in, I forgot to tell you, it's a glamorous job. For 2 years, the summer after my 7th grade year and the summer after my 8th grade year, I was a janitor at my school, and I am telling you, nasty. And that was full-time, that was 40 hours a week for 3 months in the summertime, and I'm telling you, nasty. Whatever you do, it's okay to be a janitor, but try not to be a janitor at a junior high, or here they call it a middle school. All right. So when I was 15, I became a bagger at a grocery store, and I worked my ass off. And guess what they were paying me? $2.70 an hour, because I was underaged, and they could get away with that legally back then. Now it would be illegal for them to hire me. Okay. And I finally, after about a month or so, I asked my boss, the head manager, I had many bosses, what is it that a person has to do to make minimum wage around here? And he looked at me and said, Warren, next pay period, just before I do the checks, you just remind me and you can have minimum wage. So because of that, then I got $3 and 35 cents an hour. But that was a lot of money for back then. And you have to remember that when I was a little boy, little, until I was about 7 years old, full-size candy bars cost 5 cents. And then one day, bam, the price doubled. And then where I was living, they charged taxes if it was 10 cents or more. And it was a 10% tax, so it was 11 cents for the same 5-cent candy bar, which you guys now pay, $1.50 or $2 for. All right. As time went by, I became a cashier, and I also did stocking, not like stocking people, but putting food on the shelf. And then I became a night manager, and I did that up until I was almost 19 years old. And that's when I had decided that I would go on a Mormon mission, which was not the best experience of my life, okay? I was a good missionary, but oh my God, the system drove me crazy. Can you imagine me? You've seen probably the missionaries in their white shirts and on bicycles or driving fancy cars around here, I'm sure. Anyway, so then I I went on that mission. I'd already saved up all my money to pay for it myself for a year and a half. And when I came back, I went back to college. And that's why I'm here teaching you, is that I loved college. I did go to college for a summer before my senior year. At the University of Utah, I took psychology, which I think I'd highly recommend. And I took food and nutrition, which if you're going to the healthcare field, you need to do that. And I took karate. And that's because my girlfriend wanted to take food and nutrition, my best friend wanted to take karate, and I wanted to take psychology. So I didn't pursue psychology, but I have continued to study psychology until this day. Now, when I got back from Paraguay, right before I went to it, I accepted a scholarship. I turned down a scholarship to the University of Utah, but I got a scholarship to Brigham Young University, where I spent a dreadful, dreadful semester suffering and hating every minute of it. It was the kind of scholarship that was designed for brains, okay? It was the second best scholarship they offered. This one was complete tuition paid, except for I had to pay for my housing and my food, which I'd saved my money as a teenager. And so I did that. And it allowed me to fail 15 semester hours and still keep that scholarship for 4 years. But I knew after that first semester that I would never, ever go back there. So instead, when I got back from my mission in Paraguay, I went to the University of Utah, where I had gone for that summer before my senior year. And that's where I did my education. And I thought I was going to study science at BYU. And then I thought I was going to study business at University of Utah. But I fell in among English majors. And so I did my English degree backwards, from the upper classes down to the introductory courses. And because it was before computers, they didn't know. So I just signed up and I went and I got the credit for them. Now, good luck with that, all right? After I did that, I was getting ready to graduate with my bachelor degree in English literature, and I took one more class to have a minor in Spanish, and there was a class offered on Mexican novels, and so I took that class. And I had never read literature in Spanish. I'd read the Bible cover to cover in Spanish while I was a missionary, but never any novels. And I fell in love with it, so I graduated in June that year. That was 1987. And then, in May I graduated, and then in June I returned to do my bachelor degree in Spanish literature. And I just fell in love with it, and so then I did my master degree and my doctoral studies in Spanish literature as well. In the meantime, after I had gotten my bachelor degree, and it only took me 1 more year to get my Spanish literature degree because I'm a crazy man, I got married, and I had my oldest son, who you saw right here, biological son, Shiloh. He doesn't look anything like me. I'm still wondering whose he is. All right. And I finished my bachelor degree in Spanish literature, and when he was about 3 months old, I started teaching college back when I was 23. And now I'm 55, so I'm ancient. I want to tell you why I teach. So that's about my life. It's a lot more than you need to tell me. The reason I tell you this is I want you to trust me. I am not here to pick at you, to criticize you. I am here to help you. I teach because I love seeing people learn and grow into their talents and develop their creativity. By the way, can you tell it's probably about 100 degrees out here on my porch while I'm teaching you. I'm here to help you. In addition to teaching college from that young age, well, it was at the university when I started, okay? I have taught people with disabilities my entire life. And so, hence, you can see my daughter, Ashley. I met her when she was 10 years old, and I was running a nonprofit agency called Prometheus. And if you don't know the myth of Prometheus, look it up. The slogan that we had for this nonprofit agency that I and my now passed away wife created was Catch the Fire. So go look that up or ask Google to tell you who Prometheus was, or the myth of Prometheus. Ashley was little. She was 10. She was about 8 inches shorter. She'd just been brutalized her whole life. And now you would never know that. She was feral when I met her, but you would never know that now. After more than 100 medical and psychological appointments the first year and dozens of surgeries, we got her out of pain, and she is a happy, healthy human being. All right, and so just as I taught Ashley and helped her to have a better life, that's what I'd like to do with each and every one of you, because right now we're in the middle of a pandemic. You obviously have noticed that, or maybe you're around people who are like, oh, it's a Democrat hoax. Well, I'm here to tell you that no, it's not. My other daughter, not Ashley, has COVID-19. It's no joke. It is no joke. And it's dangerous. And the thing is right now we have about 7.5 billion people in the world. And by 2050, so that's less than 30 years from now, we are going to have more than 10 billion people on this planet. Now, when I lived in South America, I saw people go hungry, and I saw babies go hungry, and I saw babies die in infancy, and I saw babies with worms in their bellies. I need people like you to help figure out how we're going to feed another 2.5 billion people so that it doesn't matter where you're born, you have the opportunity to learn and to grow. So that's the other reason I teach, is because I fucking hate poverty. Oh, I hope you're not recording this because I said fuck. All right. Anyway, I hate poverty. I really hate poverty. And I do not like constraints on people. I grew up with constraints on myself in my conservative, survivalist Mormon culture. And because of education, I was able to become the hippie that I am today. I was able to grow and follow my intellect. And both of my parents were very smart, don't get me wrong, but I was able to follow my intellect and pay for all of my education so that I can be here teaching you. And I am looking forward to helping you grow and grow and grow. And so if you're afraid of speaking in public, that's all right. Most people are. Most people are. I will help you with some techniques to alleviate that stress. Also, we're using a pocket guide to public speaking. I've taught out of 3 editions of this. I really like the text. I don't care which edition you have, because guess what? Surprisingly, whenever they release a new edition, it's just because the price goes up and the cover gets changed. The content is about 98% the same. So if you can figure out a cheaper version, that's fine with me, because the page numbers even are almost exactly on. All right. I'm looking forward to hearing your story for your introducing yourself in 2 to 3 minutes. And I wish you a very good, I guess I could say evening. I don't know what time of day you're going to watch this, but I'm looking forward to seeing you this week. Thank you.